You're gonna hear from me. Make me some room, you people.
Who are your teachers? Your parents, your grandparents, school, contemporaries? Madison Avenue. How many of you read The Millionaire Next Door? Okay. Were you surprised to find out that most of the wealth in the country is not controlled by Dallas or Dynasty? And that the big corporations are not the movers and shakers of the country? How many of you were shocked to find that out? You know who employs 90% of the people in the United States of America? Small business. How many of you own or work for a small business in this room? Yeah, lion's share of you. But have you adopted the values of Madison Avenue as your indicators of success? If so, they're scaled to keep you broke. Remember, they're getting paid to make you buy what you don't need. Because if you needed it, it wouldn't need to be advertised. Does anybody have to advertise hamburger other than the fact that it's on sale? Water? No. Power? Lights? No. Other. Okay? I'm always interested. If you can add to my list, please. I'm always interested. So, what were the economic conditions like when those values were formed and taught to you? Does the same paradigm exist today? Most of us borrowed our financial rules from people who lived under the gold standard. We don't. Did the rules change? Oh, you have no idea. But you're gonna. So, today we have inflation, the Federal Reserve System, standardized education that creates employees. What begins at 65? Certainly not retirement. Have you looked at how old you have to be to draw your retirement these days? Your Social Security benefits? Did you realize by the time most of us hit retirement, Social Security age is going to be over 75? And pretty soon it will be a welfare benefit. So don't count on it. Hopefully you won't be poor enough to get it. With any luck at all? How many of you agree with that statement? With any luck at all, I won't be poor enough to have to take it? You know, keep it. You need it worse than I do. Okay. Wouldn't that feel good to be able to say that? You can have it. I don't need it. I did it myself. My favorite song, used to be a singer, no 5,000 songs, God bless the child who got his own. Imitation. Imitation is not the highest form of flattery. It's the path of least resistance. Because when you accepted someone else's rules, what you did was chuck your obligation to examine their truth at the door. See, I was lucky. Nobody taught me squat about money. Because nobody I knew had me. So anything that I learned, I had to dig out myself. Which is a good thing. Gifts often come in really interesting packages. So, you have to do your own due diligence. Books and tapes, The Millionaire Next Door, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, because I got to tell you something else. You know what my definition of risk is? A W-2 payroll check with me on the receiving end. That's risk. As long as I'm in charge of my income, I'll do quite nicely, thank you. Someone else is in charge of measuring what I'm worth, whew, we got problems. Lectures and workshops. You're here tonight. You're doing your own due diligence. Take what I say, run it through your own microscope. Take what Scotty says, run it through your own microscope. If it holds water, make use of what you can. Leave the rest. Your professional network. You have a CPA? Listen to him. Don't do it just because he said to do it. You have to employ that. Don't forget, when did he go to school? How was your CPA? Did he grow up in the school system that's turning out the 2-gallon containers? Well, did you think just because he has alphabet behind his name that he's smarter than you? How many of you think that? You better take a look at that one. Self-directed IRAs or 401ks. Entrust. I recommend Entrust. The reason I do is because I personally know the owner of it. That's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. And he thinks like I do. Boy, we had a 4-hour talk about metaphysics one day. Oh, boy, that was a good breakfast. Legal draftsman, another name for an attorney. It's the proper name for an attorney. Did you know attorneys are not supposed to tell you what to do? They're supposed to figure out in documentary form what you told them to do. How many of you knew that? Okay. That means who has to have the ideas? You do. They're order takers. Because anytime that they are not order takers, you're standing in court, and whether you win, lose, or draw, you lose. Because the only people paid for showing up are the lawyers and the judge. Everybody else loses. They lose their life, they lose their time, they lose their sleep. Even when you win, you lose. Banker. The banker who's not over there. Your real estate agent and mentor. You're going to hear more about this later. This is an important concept. And diversified investments. Well, what do I mean about diversified investments? How many of you heard those words come out of the mouth of your broker sometime in the 90s? And so he diversified your investments by taking some of your stock money and putting it in bonds. And putting, come on. How many of you felt truly diversified as the whole thing was going down the tubes? This is diversification. Trust deeds, oil and gas, bank accounts, insurance, real estate, barter currency. Barter currency, we're going to talk about that too. REITs, stocks, bonds, commodities. That's diversification. How many of you know enough to intelligently invest in any of those? Well, we're going to try and cover some of the bases before this is over. Better go fast now. So the object of this workshop is to buy your dreams. So what are they? I want to know next week. Write them down. Not a to-do list. What's your dream? What could you commit the entire rest of your life to doing 16 hours a day? Where are you going? Why are you working so hard? Are you running from? Are you running to? One of the saddest statements I've seen in the human language, any of them, is I owe, so off to work I go. God, every minute of your life is precious and irreplaceable. And you're going to a job you hate. A woman who lives upstairs from me wrote the book, How to Love the Job You Hate. My answer to that is, why bother? Find something you love and do it. Do it every day. Do it 18 hours a day. Did you know it doesn't even feel like work then? What if somebody said, you have to have a job starting tomorrow? You have to do nothing but sports and ski and sail and scuba dive for the whole rest of your life. How long would it take you to sign up for that job? You got it?
That's what I do.
That's cool. Matter of fact, come here, you. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Put your hand up like this. American custom. High five. Good job. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. So, if you're waiting for something to turn up, how about beginning with your sleeves? Because you remember Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz standing there at the end with the red slippers on? Click your heels together 3 times. You always had the power. You've always had the power. What have you done with it? When are you going to hold yourself accountable for where you stand today? Because the minute you do, that's the only bad moment, is owning that you put yourself where you stand today. As soon as you do that, you then have the power to change it. Isn't that a blessing? What a gift. So, in order to cross the finish line at any time, you know what you have to do? You got to start. Other people walk up to the craps tables and say, how do you win at this game? Dealer says, well, you put $2 on the come line. You got to ante in. There's a joke about God and a lottery ticket, but we'll do that next week. And I think the homework is right here. Write it down. Here's what you got to do. Commit your dreams to writing. Be as specific as possible. For those of you who are kinesthetics, you know what kinesthetics are? There's a touchy-feely people, you know. What will it live like? What will it feel like? How will it look? When you open your eyes in the morning, what will you see? What will your day sound like? What would you be doing? I want you to put yourself in your dream. I want you to feel it, own it, live it, smell it, squeeze it. Because until you dare give yourself permission to dream, you won't know what you have the capability and scope and capacity to fall in love with. You got to be in it. Then, write it down. A lot of people will never talk about their dream because it's too big. It sounds silly. Oh, God, wait till you hear mine. I promise. I dare you. I dare you. Put it on paper. You won't break it just because you committed it to writing. But for the first time, you have a chance of making it real. Spouses should do their own dreams separately. It's not a 2-for-1 deal. I'm fond of saying, when husbands and wives do checklists on what their house is supposed to look like, the guy has to do a separate one. Most guys would be happy with a 5-car garage and a lean-to. Women have a somewhat different concept of what housing is supposed to look like. Okay? So, our first job is to reconcile the differences, right? But until you have a negotiating position, there's nowhere to negotiate to. Right? Maybe it'll start the two of you talking about things that matter for the first time in a long time. Suppose. What a thought. Believe it or not, that ends my rant for tonight. Can we call a break now? Okay.
And give me some sky. I got me some wind.